Okay, this is attempt number 3 for Isolation Protocol Day 82, Saturday, June, and I keep forgetting what the date is. I've only said it a million times. Saturday, June 6th. The dogs are being pains in the patooties. And I keep getting text messages that make my phone make a lot of noise. Anyhow, yesterday, I was out just for a little bit. I just ran out, grabbed a nice coffee, and sat on my porch and opened some packages that I had received um, before bringing them into the house. And in that short time, I just ran to get iced coffee less than a mile away. So it was fast. Went through the drive-through, grabbed my coffee, came back, and the dogs had destroyed the couch. I mean, everything torn off. Every pillow, every blanket, every cushion, every knitting bag. I'm in the middle of sorting out a million darn good yarn boxes. So they were all stacked up on the side over here. Now they're just sort of tossed in a heap over there. A couple of knitting bags with yarn in them got the yarn taken out, and some of it stretched halfway across the house and back. So yeah, today when I went grocery shopping, yay, I actually got to go out. I went grocery shopping and I threw them out the window. That's not as bad as it sounds. I think I've mentioned this before, but I do not have a door that goes from my house into the backyard. And many years ago, with a previous dog that I had, saw a raccoon on the neighbor's garage. Now the garage is right on the property line, so the my fence starts and stops on either side of the garage, and the garage just forms another part of the border. So when there was a raccoon on the roof, my dog thought, "Oh, I can catch that," and went flying through the window. Fortunately, the window was open. Unfortunately, the blinds were not, and the screen was there. So, Salisbury, stop it! Sal! Hi, Honey Bear. Yeah, they're being pesky. Salisbury, stop kicking that! Sal! Oh, he is going to be a toad, isn't he? Anyhow, ever since the blind and the screen got destroyed, um, I've just left the window open and the dogs can jump in and out. So outside, it's about 6 feet off the ground. So I have a large dog house out there, and the dogs can jump onto a bench inside the house, and then the windowsill, and then out from the windowsill onto the dog house, and then onto a recycling bin and onto the ground. So yeah, that's what I call my doggy door. So I threw them out, closed the window, hoped that they stayed out because Honey Bear has figured out how to open the window from the outside even when it's locked. Just a minute. Salisbury, cool it, cool it, quiet, quiet. Okay, so yeah, she can get in when she really wants to. So went grocery shopping, bought 11 bags crammed full. You know, lots of times they'll just put a few items in a bag. Now this guy packed every single bag, crammed full to the top, to the point where stuff was falling out of them. And when I got home, the plastic bags had slipped and slid all over the back seat, and groceries, only half of them were still in bags. So anyhow, took me several trips to get the groceries into the house, um, during which my back started going into spasms. So I got the cold stuff put away. The rest of it is sitting on the counter, and I will deal with it tomorrow. But I got outside. I went grocery shopping. Yay! Really, world. Anyhow, uh, I did promise that. Oh, I got one more thing to say about the grocery shopping. Uh, I opened up my purse, grabbed my wallet, snapped it open, and ATM card's not in there. Could not find it. Wasn't in there anywhere. Digging through my purse, and my daughter just reached over and stuck her ATM card in the machine and covered my groceries. So, thank you, Carrie. I distinctly remember when I went out to get iced coffee that uh, putting getting the ATM card back, open, stick it in, closed. Yeah, I remembered, absolutely remembered doing that. And it wasn't in my wallet anywhere. So I started digging around after I got back into the car, dug through my knitting bag, which is, uh, yep, fireworks going off, which is this absolutely gorgeous bag from Susan Griscom for her Wet Kisses book. Absolutely love this bag. And it has a large knitting project in it, the sweater that I'm making. I still need to finish the other sleeve. Oops, it's attached. Still need to finish the other sleeve. Um, so it's coming along really nicely. I have 2 notebooks in there, including, I just noticed this one here that I got from Susan Tisdale. Yep, pay no attention to the stain. I spilled coffee on it. Uh, I write all my first drafts by hand with ink, and yes, the ink changes color because when I get stuck in a scene or I can't figure out how to word something, I switch to another pen and it kind of jump starts the writing process. So sometimes I will write 6, 8, 10, 12 pages in a single color, and sometimes I will have 6, 8, 10, 12 colors on a single page. Uh, Really interesting to see which scenes gave me the most trouble that way. So it's fun. It's really feel much closer to the words that I write when I'm actually using my hands. And yeah, my hands get covered with ink since a lot of my pens are fountain pens or even pens that you dip into an inkwell. Even feather quills. I learned how to make those and absolutely love doing it and writing with them. Um, I haven't been around the lake to pick up some more goose quills yet. The geese there are vicious. Oh my gosh. The flocks are huge, and the goose poop forms a thick layer in certain areas of the park. And uh, yeah, so hunting quills is a messy business, and I take them home and soak them and add a little bit of bleach and set them out in the sun to dry, and then turn them into quills to write with. So fun. Anyhow, back to what's in here. I have a couple of notebooks. I have a paperback book that I'm reading. I have my Nook. I have my Kindle. Actually, I have a second paperback that I'm reading and a second notebook that I'm writing in because I'm kind of fleshing out 2 ideas and trying to decide if I want to write those stories. So that and my knitting and uh, a container of wipes and hand sanitizer and a couple of spare masks. The bag is full. And so I'm digging through that, taking everything out, opening up everything, and there's my ATM card tucked inside the Kindle cover. Yeah, I had opened the Kindle, put the ATM card in, and closed the Kindle cover. Right. Yeah. But I need caffeine. I really need caffeine. So, thank you, Carrie, again for covering my groceries for today. It took me forever to get the groceries into the house, during which my back started going into spasms, which is why I am like all over the place right now, trying to keep the muscles moving so they will stop spasming. Uh, but I did say I was going to read, and I've got 4 pages here that I want to read, and it's 4 pages typed in, not like little half-sized paperback pages. This is a lot. So if you are with me this far, this is from Girl Unseen. At this point, Reese had gone over to Tishka's house a huge, huge mansion uh, with servants and a pool and all kinds of other fun stuff, and a closet that was bigger than Reese's bedroom at the foster home that she's living in. Uh, and Tishka had forced Reese to take a whole bunch of clothes uh, after Tishka had let some secret slip. So yeah, this is the next morning. Reese arrived at school nearly an hour early. For once, she was glad to have PE first period. So after grabbing breakfast in the cafeteria and after PE, she was in the locker room with all of her new clothes stuffed into her locker. In the end, it had been the chauffeur who had talked her into taking the items, explaining that Tishka really didn't mean anything by giving them to her. She just thought that that kind of stuff was expected. The clothes would be wrinkled, but they wouldn't have been safe at the McIntyre's house. If Mrs. McIntyre or the other Fosters thought anything would bring in a few dollars, they'd never think twice about taking anything and everything. She put on a pair of jeans that fit like they were made for her, except for being several inches too long. She rolled them up a few times and then topped it off with a sparkly pink camisole and a white shrug. The outfit made her back itch, even though she had been sure that she had taken off all of the tags. Lizzie was the first to notice the new look, and she immediately knew where she'd gotten the clothes. "So you're one of the royal court now? Are you sure you're allowed to talk to us lowly commoners?" She held her binder tight against her chest, so only "Save the" printed on her t-shirt showed. No. Reese wondered what uh, Reese wondered what Lizzie was trying to save. "We're working on that English project together, and she said she couldn't work with somebody who had, how did she put it, unfortunate fashion sense? No, wait, she said tragic. Tragic fashion sense. Tragic, that's her all right. At least she left your hair alone. I think your braids are quaint." "I think you should let your hair down." Mitch grabbed one of Reese's braids. Ooh, soft. Reese yanked her braid out of his hand. "I don't like having my hair touched." "I don't like any touch," she thought to herself, but since Mitch had already hugged her a couple of times and it hadn't been too bad, she let him get away with it. She didn't she knew he didn't mean anything by it anyway. He just considered himself one of the girls. "Sorry, I guess that's why it's so long. You've never had it cut?" "Not since I was about 3 when it got singed in the fire." Reese immediately stopped. With great restraint she managed not to clap her hand over her mouth at the slip. "Fire?" everyone asked, but she was saved when the bell rang and everyone had to rush to their seats. Reese was distracted during the morning classes. Tishka was back to her usual conceited self, although they didn't get to talk much. Reese bit her lip when Tishka insulted a freshman for wearing a plaid shirt. There wasn't much time to talk with anyone between classes, as the school was quite spread out over several buildings, meaning that many of the students had to run to get to their classes on time. Reese was glad for the time um, away from people, hoping that everyone would forget about her slip. But that hope didn't last long. At lunch, the conversation picked up right where it started. "What fire?" Lizzie said, as the minute Reese sat at the table. Her tray was laden with its usual salad. Susan and Mitchell, on either side of Lizzie, elbowed her so hard she dropped her French fry. Lizzie glared at them and then began again. "Hi, Reese. How are you? What fire burned your hair?" "No big deal. It was a car accident when I was a kid. I got pulled out just before the car caught fire. My hair got singed and I had to have it cut. I forgot to write down the math assignment. Can you give it to me?" Reese's attempt to change the subject didn't work. And when Mitchell asked her if her parents got into a lot of accidents, one of his goofy but failed jokes, the dam burst, and everyone started asking questions. Reese felt her heart pounding. Spots appeared before her eyes. A full-blown panic attack was in the works. She took a deep breath and tried to calm down. "I don't want to talk about it right now." Mitchell laid his hand on her elbow. "Let her eat her rabbit food in peace, and we'll interrogate her later." The conversation finally turned to different subjects. Reese listened, but did not join in other than to answer direct questions. She had been sitting against the wall, so she had a perfect view of Tishka, 2 tables down, laughing away with her circle of admirers. Tishka kept looking at her, but then would turn away quickly whenever their eyes met. They had had a test in English and hadn't been able to talk, so she wondered if she had done something wrong. Tishka had promised she wouldn't say anything to anyone about some of the things that Reese had told her. But if Tishka thought that Reese needed payment to keep her quiet, what could she possibly give her in return? She had nothing. Reese looked at her tray when the bell finally broke through her thoughts. She found herself pushing one last leaf of lettuce in circles around on her empty plate. She didn't remember eating, but she wasn't hungry anymore, so she must have. Mitchell grabbed the tray and tossed it on the rack. Come on, we're going to be late. With his long legs, he nearly dragged her across campus to the theater building. After school, Reese made her way to the area where Tishka's limo usually picked her up, but Veronique and several other of the posse were hanging around, and Tishka was nowhere to be found. Reese made a quick retreat. She headed to the library, only to be stopped by the librarian, Mr. Garner. Sorry, honey, library's closed today. There's a staff meeting going on. He must have noticed the look on her face. Mr. Garner ran his fingers through the few remaining gray hairs on his head. Come on, honey. I think I know where you can go. It's like a homework club or something that one of the teachers does. It's over in Alpha Hall. And then he led her directly to Mr. Field's room. Okay, well, that's the scene that I'm having trouble with. What I would like to know is Reese is extremely close. She does not say anything to anyone without really thinking about it first. So it's kind of out of character for her to mention that her hair got singed in a fire. But I kind of wanted to bring the subject up a little bit because um, it comes up again later, and I don't want it to be a shock to other people when it comes up again later. So, does this work? Is the scene okay? Should I make it smaller, larger? Should I explain more? I don't know. I'm really iffy on this whole thing. There's a lot of stuff that gets told and not much that actually happens, which I like things to happen. So, anyhow, that's I would like to have your input on that. If you have any questions about what the book is about, um, I have a couple of other earlier and one later section that I have read. You can take a look at my Girl Unseen playlist to find out what those are, or just hit me up on Facebook or leave a message here. I really um, don't check messages on YouTube very often because it's difficult to do on my phone. So yeah. Anyhow, just go ahead and leave me any comments, questions, whatever that you have about this. Uh, I I think I'm going to just leave it in at this point when I send it off to my editor and let her decide whether or not to cut this scene or have me completely rewrite it or just put the information in elsewhere and yeah. So anyhow, that's where I am with that. So that is it for Isolation Protocol Day 80, what did I say? 82, and for another section from Girl Unseen. Thank you. Catch you later. Bye.